Please welcome Kelly Stonelake.
Hello, I'm Kelly Stonelake. I'm part of the Facebook Creative Shop. We're a team of about 100 people across 30 offices, and we partner with brands and agencies and creative partners to build really smart creative ideas that not only push our partners' business forward, but are intended to delight users and extend our platform. So today, super excited to be here. I can't imagine a more beautiful venue. This event has been so well organized and coordinated. So before I start, I was hoping you could join me in a round of applause for the event coordinators and staff. It's not easy. So today, I'm going to be sharing some thoughts with you about how we can use storytelling to bridge the gap between the marketing void between brand and DR. And before I get into it, I'm going to start with a quick video.
In the Creative Shop, we believe that and is a beautiful thing. In fact, we're pretty much in the and business, because when you have 1.4 billion bosses who are depending on you to make their feeds a more interesting and relevant place, you take that job pretty serious. And so we always start with people, and we begin by searching out the and in them, because they aren't one-dimensional targets. They're Sarahs, and they just graduated and moving to the big city. Or they're Simons, and they're from London, and the bloody team just lost. There's Susans, and working moms, and travel several times a year. There's Sanjays, and don't have a smartphone, and want just as great an experience. There's Steves, and have kids under 2, and they're up late checking their feed. And so we think they deserve content built just for them, and the thousands of other Sarahs, Simons, Susans, Sanjays, and Steves just like them. They deserve stories created for people, not pixels. And is how we're creating those stories, whether by partnering with world-class agencies or world-class creators, using art and science to create big ideas and fit them into the right pockets the world over, to delight people and drive business, happy people and happy partners. And that is a beautiful thing.
So before Sarah can love your brand, before Steve can buy your products, before Susan can be inspired by your message, they have to pay attention. And today, people are more empowered than ever to choose what they pay attention to. This isn't the passive world of TV. This isn't the captive world of digital pre-roll. In the intimacy of my mobile phone, the personalization of my news feed, discovery is active. And from the click to the scroll, to the video view, to the conversion, everything on Facebook, everything on Instagram is active. This is not a channel where things like pop-ups or disruptive ad experiences work. We didn't build the platform for that. People are already paying attention. So as brands, what can we do to earn attention? One, we need to invest in the brand relationship at every stage in the path to purchase. We don't believe that storytelling is something only reserved for upper and mid-funnel marketing. And the second, we need to think about how we put this message at the epicenter of where they're paying attention, and we design the content for that channel for their mobile device. So a little bit of history. As our team grew and as Facebook grew and we invested more and more as a company in performance marketing, we saw this really interesting thing happen where partners would come to Facebook's campus and we'd have meetings with them, and you'd have the brand team and the performance team shaking hands for the first time across our conference room tables. So these are teams that are both building creative for the same channel, and they don't even know each other's name. And of course, there's good reason for that separation of function. But what happens when organizations are structured that way is you end up with messaging that feels like it's coming from two very different places. And I think that this marketing void is perpetuated by, in my opinion, what is a legacy perception that brand is where we invest our creativity and our ideas. This is something everyone here knows. Brand is good for business. Brands drive emotional connection. They drive loyalty based on a shared set of values that's built on personality and history. But brand is also really important to the performance marketer. Brand insulates against competitive commoditization. The emotional connection of brand drives action. And these relationships are equal long-term value, which is revenue. And let's not forget who we're building for. So when he sits down on the subway and opens up his mobile device and goes to newsfeed, he's encountering what I would argue is the best content in the world for him. Pictures of his best friend's new baby or his sister's vacation photos. And when he encounters your ad, he doesn't look at that and say, oh, that was an incredible piece of brand work. He doesn't see another ad and think, it's okay that that was impersonal or emotionally hollow, it's DR. So we need to think about every touch point being our opportunity to invest and build that relationship with each person that we reach. Take the travel industry, for example. So I spend a lot of time with travel partners. They're some of the best brands in the world. But if you look at these 8 images, these are 8 images that direct competitors used, same period of time, almost the exact same audience, lots of overlap, for virtually, very similar offers. What's the problem with this? What was that? It's a cliche. What else? They all look the same. There's no visual differentiation at all. There's no point of view. There's no branding. We don't know who published what. You might not even know what subcategory within travel this is. And this is a big problem. Sometimes these partners are pulling from the same stock banks for their performance marketing, and they're using the exact same images as their direct competitors to reach the same audience. And anyone who's a brand manager is freaking out, right? Because this is just not good for brand building. And then we look at some brands that are really doing it right. So Despegar, #1 travel site in Latin America. This specific campaign, these promotions drive conversions to, in this case, Miami, Paris, and Orlando. And they did away with their stock photos of these destinations and replaced them with stories. So Despegar stands for, they believe as a brand that travel should be available for everyone. Travel is something that everyone can do. And so they replace it with these stories of people returning to places that they had visited with their family as children or in the past, these epicenters of nostalgia, and used a creative device that people were familiar with on Facebook and Instagram and still evoked this idea of travel. We still see pictures of destinations, but there's a point of view now. There's visual consistency. When I see multiple ads across this campaign, I know who it's coming from. And then you layer on top of it this promotion, and you have really good business. Expedia. So DDB and Expedia ran this campaign in APAC recently to drive signups for their loyalty program. And the way most of their competitors are thinking about loyalty programs, they are publishing pictures of logos, cards, terms, policies. But what DDB did is they looked at this and thought about the people. They designed for the people that are actually going to see this. And when you think about the people that we want to sign up for a loyalty program, what do they care about? Travel. So let's show them images, evocative, emotional images of travel that are differentiated visually from everything the competition's publishing, and also put together with a really smart creative device designed to capture attention, married to copy to drive action. So we're getting people into our program, and we are building brand at the same time. And lastly, this is a campaign that Crispin and Hotels.com ran recently. You might be familiar with this. It's also really built for people. So in newsfeed, videos autoplay. And Crispin thought about how people were going to be consuming the content that they published on Facebook, and they built the video for the channel. So I'm going to pause and let us enjoy this for a minute. So this is so smart. Captain Obvious, the character, he's a character that plays a huge role in every piece of brand marketing that Hotels.com runs in the United States. They also talk about a specific offer, a mobile app install. So it's kind of hard to tell, is this a video intended to drive brand love, Or is this a video to drive mobile app installs? And the answer doesn't have to be or, it can be and. So another way to think about this, Amazon Kindle has this campaign running right now on Instagram. If you look at their Instagram page, you'll see these beautiful travel images that they worked with a handful of influential Instagrammers to create and capture and tell their story about summer travel with Kindle. And they took these assets and used them on Facebook to tell a slightly different story, right? We're not going, on Facebook, we aren't going into depth about the individual Instagrammers. It's maybe not the ideal channel for that, but what they're doing is using the same assets to tell everyone's summer story of travel. And the result is an impactful creative experience. You get visual consistency, purposeful creative, and great results. We talk a lot at Facebook about our technology. We have amazing ad products. In this example, Coach is using our sequencing products to, you can imagine the experiences you can create on Instagram. I see an ad on Instagram, then I see the ad, I see a video on Facebook. If I watch that video, I see product messaging to actually buy the product. But what I like most about this isn't Coach's use of our sequencing product. It's that they got out of their heads. They weren't thinking about themselves and thinking, sequencing is a tool I need to tell a story to people. They thought about how people would actually experience this. The win here is not the sequencing of the product, but the sequencing of the creative. So even though these are different assets, they feel connected. They visually feel like they've come from the same place. They tell a similar story. And so my experience as I see one after the other is a positive brand experience, and they build on one another. When it comes down to it, we believe that great brand work should sell product, and great DR work should build brand. And what does this mean for you? If you consider yourself a brand marketer or a brand creative, it means that you have to own the relationship through the rest of the funnel. If you build work, if you build performance work, DR work, it means that you need to demand a seat at the table to at least be aware of the creative strategy, the creative direction, the visual voice, the tone of the creative campaigns that will run from a brand standpoint so that you can build that into your creative strategy. And even better, if you are a leader of an agency or a company or a marketing organization, you should think about how you can bring functions together. Maybe not completely, but at least when we think about creative and we think about planning, that doesn't make sense that from a creative standpoint that these two decisions would be made separately or that there wouldn't be unified creative ownership. One more example I want to share with you. I'm really proud of this work. So this is also running right now on Instagram. Amazon Prime, it's a free 2-day shipping membership, right? And they have a twofold awareness opportunity. So you also, free 2-day shipping, I think there's that piece of it, but there's a host of other benefits you get as an Amazon Prime customer, including things like unlimited photo storage and TV streaming and movie streaming. So we work together to build these panagrams that essentially tell this story of something I'm familiar with, establishing what we know about Amazon. I'm unboxing a product, establishing that in my life, and then using it using it associated with the cloud aspect of that same offering. And what we did is we built several panagrams that, like any campaign we would build for other channels like print or TV, tell different stories based on the same idea. And the result is something that feels beautiful, well-crafted, integrated. And we really, when we look at this, if you didn't know, you might not know the difference whether this was a campaign to build brand for Amazon, whether this was a campaign to drive performance, whether this was a campaign to drive signups for Prime. And we think that's really great, especially on Facebook and Instagram. So mobile. If you've here at the festival, if you've been in the room with any of my colleagues, we talk a lot about mobile. We know that mobile is here. We know that mobile is huge. We believe in the future of mobile. We're building our business around it. But even we talk about things like autoplay and how the 3-second audition and fast cut video. But there's another aspect of designing for mobile beyond just thinking about the tactical elements. Like this is my most personal device. that exists in the world. And when I'm in newsfeed, it's the most personal content that exists for me. And when I'm scrolling through newsfeed, every story has essentially 100%, almost if not 100% share of voice. And so this is my A content. This is my A-level content, and if I'm scrolling through my A-level content and I encounter a story that looks like a billboard, B-level content, that's not good for me, and it's really not good for you. Failing to respect the authenticity that people expect that is required to build brand, failing to respect the authenticity that's expected in our channels, it's not good for business. And frankly, I mean, we know that building emotional, purposeful, creative, and performance marketing drives results. It drives efficiency. It drives more conversions at a better rate. So we need to think about how we can better our business by shifting. We actually ran a study recently with a company called SalesBrain at the Center for Neuroeconomic Studies, where we showed people the same exact content on 2 different devices, a mobile phone and a TV, and evaluated their biometrics, so things like sweat, pulse, brain activity, eye tracking, to really think about and evaluate how they perceived content on both devices. And the results are really interesting. So the first one has to do with the relative size of my mobile device. So I've heard from my partners that are building performance creative that they just don't believe that my mobile device is big enough to both sell product, to talk about their offer, and to tell a story, to build concept. But what this study found is that the phone is actually perceived by my brain as larger than my TV. So when you take your phone and you're holding it 10 or 12 inches from your face, your brain sees it as bigger than the TV across the room. Furthermore, people were more attentive and felt more positively about the same content on their mobile device. And I've been talking about how attention is that currency. It's the equity that you need to get. And on TV, people were more distracted. They had a higher cognitive load, meaning their brains were working harder to process the exact same content. When it came to emotional intensity and engagement, the 2 platforms were on par. So what do we do about this? A, build for people, not pixels. This is not the channel where performance marketing means 100 pieces of creative and 100 pieces of copy, and we're going to optimize those and see what works best. This is the channel where you need to think about your audience's needs, what they want emotionally, what their inbound perceptions are. And then we need to build ideas that speak to that either reinforce a motivator why they might take an action on your offer or help overcome an obstacle. 2, we need to get over this perception that purposeful creative, well-crafted creative is reserved for brand marketing. There's a place for it throughout the funnel. And 3, we need to build for mobile. That means not just thinking about, in the hotels.com example, how people are consuming content, but also thinking about crafting what we build for the device, for the intimacy, for the personalization that people expect from that channel, building high quality, relevant content. So to close, I started talking about how nothing on Facebook's passive. And in that same vein, we believe that nothing about your approach to building content for Facebook should be passive either. Thank you.